On today's show, we have our nerdiest rugby conversation yet. We talk about the Battle of the Titans between Leinster and Saracens. We hear from Johnny Sexton in his post-match interview.
We task Robbo with a one-liner he has to deliver for the Munster-Leinster game on comms.
We hear from Jerry Flannery. When I met him before, he and Felix Jones announced they'd be leaving Munster Rugby at the end of the season.
We talked about how Flannery spent some time at Killiney Castle and Killiney made him fat, and he also volleyed Medart in the hip unexplainably.
We also have a very long and interesting interview with Jack Carty's voicemail, where we talk about Game of Thrones for 15 minutes and how the rugby season kind of similarly intertwines with Game of Thrones.
Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby here on Joe Together with Guinness. Loads to talk about on today's show, starting of course with the epic battle of the Titans between Leinster and Saracens in St James's Park on Saturday. We have an interview with Munster coach Jerry Flannery from last week before he and fellow coach Felix Jones announced they would be leaving the club at the end of the season. We look ahead to the two Pro 14 semi-finals this weekend. We'll also have a very knowledgeable and often prophetic Jack Carty joining us on the phone as our Game of Thrones correspondent this week, where we will try and kind of desperately make some sort of comparison between rugby and Game of Thrones, which we always do, of course.
It's never difficult. We never have to.
No, it isn't, is it?
We never have to dig too deep for it.
Yeah, and we've poor David Shanahan's gotten the heave-ho because
he was drinking on the job.
He was drinking on the job last week. So we brought back Jack Carty. So that's all coming up. Trimby, how are you doing?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Your haircut is very nice. You're
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Very
you. I had one comment said that one person commented and made the point that one comment said
to your face, or is this online?
Yeah, on Instagram, but it's a I know the person.
Okay.
They said that it made my face look sharper, like more angular.
Yeah.
I took it as
Pointy.
a compliment. Yeah, not so much. You're moving away from
Chiseled.
Complimentary. Chiseled.
Okay,
yeah.
take it.
I'm down with chiseled.
Did you get this haircut when you were going to Liverpool? Because I know of all the places on the planet to be on Wednesday morning,
Yeah.
you were in Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
Tell us why.
It was wasted on me a
What
little
was it
bit.
like?
I'm a little bit of a football fan, but not. I was a football fan actually. Interestingly, you and Flannery talk about 90s football. That was kind of the time whenever I knew most about football, when I used to get Goal magazine.
Oh,
and was
Shoot.
it Shoot? Yeah, I thought I was going
great.
to say Score. It is Goal and
Yeah.
Shoot. And then get the posters and stuff and put them up. Anyway, that's when I knew most.
Okay.
That's when my football knowledge was at its
Yeah.
highest. And it's been in decline ever since. So much so that it's now fairly non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so this business that we're working on at the minute, we're trying to get this technology platform working in other sports teams. So we were just over finding out about Liverpool and United actually. We were at Carrington as well on the Tuesday, and then watched the Liverpool game in Manchester on Tuesday night. The next day, then we were like, would you believe we're heading in to see the Liverpool lads after they beat Barcelona 4-0.
Unbelievable.
So the doctor at Liverpool is a guy called Andy Massey, a guy from Bangor, just down the road from Belfast. And so he invited us in just for a chat to find out how things operate and what platforms they're using. And Salah walks into the room whenever we're in the meeting with Andy Massey. We're like, not now, Mo. And then we went upstairs, he invited us up for lunch, and all the boys were up there. And I think it was, is it Origi, the guy who scored the first goal? Yeah, I was there. I think that's him. I think it's him anyway. And I was so close to being so potholy.
Yeah.
Here, you the fella who scored that first goal.
That's unbelievable, man. I can't believe you're there.
It was all going well, and then I didn't pick up on this until afterwards, and then the guy that I'm working with goes, that seemed to finish quite abruptly, didn't it? And then because we met Klopp actually just after lunch, Klopp went past, hey fellas, whatever, and then he had a chat with the doctor that we were with, and then we think that maybe Klopp told the doctor to get rid of it.
With a secret code word.
Yeah, because they kind of had a wee chat to the side, and then we were out of there 5 minutes later.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I've seen those GIFs and those memes where, do you know what, they stick a player's head onto, like what Gary would do for us here. We'd stick a player's head on like where he took Jacob Stockton and put him on Tom Cruise's wear. And you see them when it's like, Klopp walking into work the next day, and he's like, "I'm walking on sunshine," and it's just his head bobbing around.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the way they were?
That's the way they were.
You actually saw them walking into work.
Yeah, they were.
the
To
day
be
after.
fair, there was some buzz. They were all absolutely loving life,
Unbelievable.
as you can imagine.
Wow, that's one for the grandkids, man, because that was probably one of the best football games of all time, or
It
results.
was. Like, I don't watch that much football, so I really watch the odd Champions League game. I would never watch Premier League games, really.
I'm a Villa fan, so I was back on the horse yesterday.
I never even watched rugby, lad.
This is true. We'll get you to Game of Thrones, okay? Well, we might as well start at the absolutely epic clash between Leinster and Saracens in St James's Park yesterday.
I've watched 100% of the games that we're going to discuss.
Well done. I'm expecting a lot from you, so. It was the game that was heralded as the clash or the decider of the two best teams of the last decade in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is fair enough. Saracens came out on top, becoming the leading English team in the European Cup history, with a phenomenal performance, to be fair. But 10 minutes to go, Leinster were still in touch, and they did put up a serious fight. What are your overall thoughts?
My overall thoughts are that they put up a serious fight, but they were always second best. I think, anyway. I think there's a decent gap between Saracens and Leinster, and I think there's a decent gap between Leinster and everyone else. And the rest of us are all just scrapping it out to be like bronze medalists miles away.
Yeah,
I do. That's what I think.
you reckon? Yeah,
I do, and I think just think Saracens that in the first kind of 20 minutes. Owen Farrell talked about this, about how one or two passages didn't go to hand. There was a couple of turnovers, but they looked so threatening. And against Munster, all those went to hand. And then I think they were very dominant, and I think they were just very close to. If that had happened, if they'd set the tone that early, then I don't think Leinster would have even had that purple patch. I think Saracens were incredible. I really do. I thought they were amazing. And I thought there were some massive performances. Will Skelton was massive. Funapola was enormous. Liam Williams was
just has big moments.
out of this world. He was so good. When you look at him, you just don't expect him to be so physical and so dynamic. He's a wiry wee fella, but he dominated James Lowe.
Didn't he?
And Lowe did well. Like, Lowe is physical, abrasive, dogged. You know, he was getting in, taking big hits, but riding them and fighting a bit out. But Liam Williams those two had a great wee battle, actually.
Yeah.
But I just thought the Saracens were unbelievable.
Yeah, they were, to be fair. A few big moments in the game, I thought. Itoje's yellow card and Leinster's try was a huge moment, and a bit of a swing, as you said, the first 20 minutes, apart from Leinster's opening penalty. Saracens just controlled it and dropped a few balls in their 22 that kind of let them down. But I thought for Leinster to come back into it with that Carney break, put the pressure on. Itoje gives away a penalty, yellow card. Leinster have the balls to go for scrum, try, and then you're like, wow, that was out of nowhere. They're 10 points up, having been down for or having not had the ball for 15 minutes. And then
they had to work so hard for everything, Leinster.
They did.
Typically, anybody else, and Ringrose, when he gets moving his feet, you know, he would get his nose through, might get an offload. Jordan Larmour, same thing. Once he gets kind of dancing, these boys just got hit hard every single time.
There was probably only two moments where
Jack Cunningham was the same. Sorry, he was getting bashed as well. These guys, they run amok when they're playing anybody else, and Saracens were just going, no, we're not having it. They met everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry, interrupted you there.
No, I think you're right. There was only a couple of moments in the game where Leinster looked like they were threatening and had control. And then that infamous 5 minutes before the end of the first half, where Sarries got a penno, and then Leinster had the opportunity to kick it out on half-time, but didn't. Put up a box kick through Luke McGrath. Vunipola took it. Carney got on the wrong side. They very cleverly just they had no interest in getting that ball back, didn't they? He was trying to, and they were just pinning Carney in there.
Ref.
Yeah, and you could see Garces was like, I'm going to have to give this, but I shouldn't.
I still think that's fair enough, though.
It is.
I still think you shouldn't get there.
Yeah. And then, Leinster. What do you think of that? They had, a lot of people making a big deal of it.
Yeah, I think too much has been made of it. To be honest, I think Leinster. Am I right in saying they were in around halfway? They put up a contestable off Luke McGrath that was landing just outside Saracens 22. So if you've got Carney chasing that, and you've got the chance of a contestable, which when Carney's under it, it's probably slightly more than 50-50. I know Vunipola is okay in the air, but no one's as good as Carney is in the air. And I think whenever you look at that, and if you forget about what happened afterwards, look at the decision they made there and then. Why would they not play? Absolutely, 100% play, and you've got a 7-point lead. Well, sorry, the lead doesn't come into it because there's so much rugby to be played. I just think you definitely play there. You have a chance of getting the ball back just outside Saracens 22 and maybe picking up another 3 points before the end of the half.
Yeah.
They weren't to know that Carney was going to give away a penalty, then they were going to have a set piece in around halfway, give away another penalty, then line out, and then they're going to score off it. Like, how can they anticipate that's going to be the case?
Like Pat actually asked the question to Johnny Sexton in the post-match interview.
Pat was getting under Johnny's skin again.
He did. He went for it.
Yeah, I kind of... the press conference started and the boys were all there, and normally what you kind of do in those situations is you butter the players up a little bit. You try and ask a general question at the start, but I just saw Mark Jones, their main press guy from the EPCR. He was just waving a microphone at me, and I was like, I'll take that, and I'll ask the question that I want to ask. So I kicked off by asking Sexton that about why did you keep playing. So
yeah, I think your point on the fact that they scored against Toulouse in the exact same position in the quarterfinal or in the semi-final, where they took a gamble before half-time and got a result out of it. I take that as a fair point, but like as you said, they had to work so hard for everything in this game.
Yeah.
To go in 10-3 up at half-time was a massive achievement for them, in my opinion. And look, see, hindsight is everything, but I just think that was a huge point, a huge turning point in the game, and such a shift of momentum for Saracens. But I think you have that audio there for us now, Pat. Do you have the Johnny after the game?
I'd actually just I'd agree with you on that one and say I think they should have kicked it out as well. But here's what Johnny Sexton thought about the whole thing.
Lads, honestly, honestly, wise up.
2-1.
Why on earth would you kick it out? This doesn't make any sense.
This is the cup final.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got a great opportunity of attacking Saracens. They didn't, as you say, they didn't get that many opportunities. Why would you kick that out?
See, I don't think it was they were in a strong position, as you say there. I think they'd gone backwards a little bit, and it wasn't
maybe
like
I can't remember the exact. To be fair, I can't remember exactly what it looked like.
They'd gone backwards a bit, and it was like it wasn't as someone said where they were in a good position to put pressure on Saracens. I don't think it was like that.
Yeah, I know I can't remember exactly who was where and how set up they were for the box kick. Yeah. But for me, if Luke McGrath has the opportunity to put a contestable and you've got your best chaser, one of the best chasers around in the air for contestables, why would you not? You're not rolling the dice there. That's a sensible decision for me. Yeah. And you two are completely wrong.
Well, look, we'll hear from Johnny Sexton now and see what I think he agrees with you, actually.
He always does.
Johnny, just from your perspective being out on the pitch, one of the crucial moments might have been just before half-time when you guys had that attacking ruck on the halfway line and just decided to keep playing. I know that tactic worked against Toulouse, but ended up costing you guys that try just before half-time. What was the thinking out on the pitch at the time?
Our thinking at the time was to stick the ball on Billy Vunipola, who was standing on the 22, and try and win the ball over his head and try and get a 2-score lead before half time. Obviously, when you kick the ball as close to their 22, you don't want to concede a penalty, and then you don't want to concede another one and be defending a 22 line out. So your decisions are as good as they are in hindsight. We made a ballsy decision when we were 3-0 up to go for a scrum and not take 3 points. And obviously it's a great decision because we score. It's not a good decision to box kick it when you cough up a 10-3 lead. But you know, that period just before half time and that period just after half time where we had maybe 2 or 3 chances to score. That's how it felt anyway when we were in their 22, pounding away at their line, and we got so close to their line a couple of times and we didn't take advantage of the overlap, or we coughed up a couple of offloads or turnover on the deck. And obviously that 20-minute period before and after half time was crucial in the end.
All right, that was Johnny Sexton. But I suppose, look, more on Saracens. Why are they the number 1 team in Europe? For me, they have an incredible game plan and a style of play, and they just absolutely nailed it on the day. Defensively, the line speed, attitude, that style of defence was just so impressive.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were talking about they were offside and potential and stuff like that. We'll take that out of it and we'll come back to that. But the umbrella style defence that they have, where they flake up on the outside, and it told you, if you watch him, like he's such an intelligent player. He's looking at McGrath all the time, waiting for him to pick the ball, and then he's on his toes and he's out of the blocks like a sprinter. And their line isn't jagged then; they're all going, and they go to wall. And like Sexton was getting smashed a few times.
Yeah, but they don't just mindlessly hair up though. That's the thing. They're all smart, as you say. They've all got a dose of that. I told you, watch the ball, get an appreciation of who's where, who's in space, and they don't just burn themselves for no reason. A good example of that is when Vunipola picked off a couple of intercepts. One anyway, and another. I know he slapped one down. But you know what I mean. He's getting in the passing channel. It's not just getting in the right position to mark up men. He knows how to make passes difficult. He knows, like, if you get in the passing channel, it's going to make that pass slower. It has to go round, or maybe just dummy for a second. And I just thought, even the one where Cruz, the one where, what do you call it, 13 Lizotsky or something? Yeah. He made an unbelievable hit on Jack Conan, first phase.
Right, yeah.
They went back, swept back the far side, and then it was Cruz who hit Sexton. And I just think, now, I think Leinster will look at that and think if they had been more organised off Johnny, he might have had a wee second where he could have got it away. But I think Cruz is a smart enough defender that he just went, I'm going to get to him whilst the guys that he's looking to get to are slightly ahead of him. They're just not. He's thinking, if I if I take my time getting there, they'll get organised. But if I get to him now, he'll not have a chance to get organised to have that option.
That's it.
So
I remember
clever.
that moment. It was, he'd ring Rose out the back, or else I was Larmer.
There was another wee shape. It was just
They were
unfolding.
just coming around the back of his left-hand shoulder, and those outside him weren't organised. But Sexton was like, I could give this pass to Larmer, but as you said, he's given no time. Like if half a second later, and he would have time to make that decision, and he'd be able to give the pass. But when he's up in his face, Cruz is like, I'm just going to make this so impossible for him to make a decision, and he just smashed them man and ball. And I think Takak got in the ball, then they got a penalty off it. But they were just, that was the order of the day. They had an answer for everything pretty much Leinster had. And
if Leinster had, outside Johnny, if they had have been slightly more organised, like slightly earlier, then I don't think Cruz would have shot, because he just would have read that.
Yeah, I think the first 3 defenders they have, they'll fly, but they'll take a second to make a decision. Yeah, and then it's more often than not it was the right decision. But then the outside guys, they just keep coming. Yeah, to cut off. So then Johnny's not going to make that decision then to throw that pass.
I don't know if it's Jared Payne or Andy Farrell. I think it's Andy Farrell. It comes from, they say go, load, go. So you go hard, you take the space, and then you wait for them to make a decision. You put them in a position where they're kind of slightly uncomfortable, and then you load up, and then you either go out and then go again. Right. So they're not just making one decision, and then the guy with the ball in his hands goes, right, I know what to do here then. Yeah. They're always kind of like keeping them guessing, I suppose.
It's continuous.
Yeah, but I thought it was so impressive. I think it kind of, well, actually, I don't know who looks after it. Is it Alex Sanderson?
Yeah.
So again, with attack and defence, I thought Saracens looked unbelievably well coached.
Yeah, well, their hits they were making then as well. It's not like they're just making those decisions. When they actually get to the line, they're making massive shots. Yeah. Technique is perfect, and you could hear them shouting, hit him, hit him, hit him. Yeah. That was so aggressive across the whole line all day.
Look at the back line. Barrett smashes boys. Owen Farrell wrecks people.
He hit Conan off for Furlong's try. When
hit him hard.
He absolutely smashed him.
And then Liam Williams wrecking boys. like that's just their back line.
Yeah.
They just have the perfect balance of smart defenders, but fronting up and making big physical hits as well.
And as you said, attack, like absolutely brilliant as well. What impressed me the most was their ability to turn slow ball into fast ball. Was that something like that? Would Joe Schmidt have worked on that much for you? Like when you get to 4 or 5 phases, and you're in a position to attack, but the ball is slowed down, then how do you go from slow to fast? Because I think Saracens just seem to have that a few different variety of options. They had either a tip on, a quick ball tip on that would, or an offload, like Farrell was just chucking balls out of the tackle because. Or then maybe they dart down blind with Williams, and he's always going to make a yard or two.
Yeah.
So they seem to have this variety of play that would always allow them to get a quick ball straight away.
So I think whenever the ball slows down, then the defence go, right, okay, we're going to come up hard. Mm-hmm. But the thing is with the defence, you can't come hard 2 times in a row if the ball is quick. So I think then in that first one, the attack kind of almost invests in the second phase by conceding a couple of yards in the first one. So you kind of recoil quickly, place the ball and play it straight away. By that stage, Leinster are maybe slightly offside, so they've got to retreat and then come back, and then you soften the defence.
But how do you, like, what's the best way to do that? Because you'll find a lot of teams, I think, will just take a carry and try and have someone who latch on them and clear out the first defender or the second defender coming in. But because they've got that in mind that it's for the second phase, they'll do it passively or not with much footwork or anything like that. Not the idea that I need to do something different here to sit the defence down, to break that.
But it's whenever it becomes a wrestle, whenever you collide and you pump your legs and you kind of fight and spin. And then you're slowing that next phase down yourself.
Yeah,
I think.
Exactly.
Whereas I think Saracens kind of hit and they bounce. They maybe hit the deck quickly, clear it out, and then go. So that they don't worry about leg drive, and they might even recoil a little bit just to make the ball really quick, really sharp.
But it seems like everyone is on the same page. I think they've all got that mentality. Like there must be a call. It's like we got to get a quick ball off this next phase. So there's always a variety of play. They've got either a backdoor to Farrell that's really well guarded where he's protected, or whoever gets into that first position. If they're not going to win that, and it's going to become a bit of a wrestle maybe, they just get their hand free and they try and flip it over the top and get the ball back to Spencer as quickly as possible.
It does now. There's a lot of theory here and a lot of coaching, but it does go a long way to have Skelton and Vunipola. To be fair,
when you said Skelton, like when you think of him when he was with Australia, he was a bit of a lump. He was 20 odd stone, not fit, dragging his arse. I know Philip Morrow is one of the main men at Saracens now, former Ulster fitness coach, and I think he's director of, I don't know, sport or something. Performance, that's it exactly. At Saracens
Rugby.
now. But like the job he has done on Skelton, like he was unbelievable on Saturday. Just a wrecking ball.
No, they were that Saracens performance reflects well on the Saracens club in so many different departments. Mark McCall, they just look like such happy campers. They just love each other's company.
Yeah, Mark McCall spoke very well afterwards.
As you say, Phil Morrow, just they all look in incredible shape. They all look like getting towards the business end of the season, and they're flying. And the defence coach Sanderson as well. Yeah, he reflected really well on him. So
and look, with that in mind, Leinster put up a serious fight, and they started so well. Like I love that clever start there where Toner went the dummy off the top of the line out in the kick-off and caught the whole team offside and got a penalty from that. They had a couple of moments of brilliance, like Carney's break before the yellow card and try, and then started the second half. I think we saw the best of Leinster in the first 10 minutes where they started doing something similar to what Saracens are doing. They had a variety of play. They were Sexton and Lowe, I think, had like a 1-2 almost of offloads. And then Ringrose had that opportunity to throw that pass when they had men over on the right hand side. I thought it was a big moment. Yeah, they could have gotten, when
Liam Williams put the hit in.
Then Liam Williams put that in. What a hit that was!
Yeah, on the turnover.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like as you said, he makes just big moments in big games, doesn't he?
That was a trick because Ringrose, to be fair to him, reached. He placed it long, and Liam Williams still just it was such a tricky skill to execute. I think he slightly overbalanced, put one hand down, and then just plucked it with the other hand. It was a big moment in the game.
Yeah, I think Farrell had a huge clearance off that as well. The Saracens can look a bit uncomfortable when they're in their own 22 as to how to get out of there. That was the one thing that I was kind of aware of, that if Leinster could get them into their 22 more often, they'd struggle. But that was one occasion where it was just like, heck, he drove it to the halfway line.
I mean, you guys are both happy enough with that. Liam Williams, the turnover, like, I know you think Garcés just saw it and just it was such a brilliant turnover that he just overlooked the hand being on the floor, on the deck as well, supporting his own weight.
Yeah, I was happy enough, to be honest, like, because
Leinster fans could be pissed off.
Maybe I think in total Garcés had a pretty good game. I thought, looking back, I think the offside there wasn't actually a huge amount of that. I think a few people were complaining about it in the game. Don't think it was that obvious.
Yeah, I thought Liam Williams. I thought that one was fine.
Yeah.
I know technically he did have his hand down, so was he holding his own body weight? But it looked fine to me. I thought it was such a good skill. Yeah. It would have been really fussy.
You see some of them when they go in and they're definitely leaning on players and with their elbows and stuff like that. A lot of players will get away with it.
There was two for me, and maybe like, from being added and stuff as well. Like the one where Barrett just missiled into someone under a post, where they were in a great scoring position, and Garcés just let it go, and the Leinster boys were all calling it, and it took Poit on the far sideline to call that as like he went off his feet to clear out the ruck, like. Yeah. And and then Garcés was like, all right, yeah, sure, and then like it really botched a scoring chance for Saracens, and then the other one was just one where it was a high ball near the end, and it looked like it went backwards, and Garcés gave that as a forward, that it went forward off Toner. Toner went to try and claim it in the air, but that one, and then Sexton wasn't too happy at the end of the game about the one before Scott Fardy got the yellow card. He was saying that he thought they'd knocked it on before.
He did. Williams knocked on from Luke McGrath's box kick. Williams and Carney went up for it. Williams dropped it, but it was kind of at the blink of an eye. You'd miss it.
Yeah.
And then Saracens, I think de Kock maybe made a break, and Saracens played, and they had the moment where they touched the ball against the post, and Fardy got yellow carded. Farrell kicked the penalty, but when the penalty was going, they were deciding on the yellow card. Sexton was saying, "Will you check the knock on?" And that was a big moment. Like he didn't check it. So just one or two like that. I thought that was one of the biggest ones. That's what
because Johnny was chasing him for a while. Yeah. Garcés just didn't want to know, did he?
Like, why?
I didn't see it. To be fair, I don't know.
Why don't you check that though? I mean, it's not like Sexton was rattling him for the whole game. He hadn't really said much, and if you question something, you got to look at it. Or how many phases does it have to go past before you can check that?
Yeah, that is another thing. Yeah, as well. How many phases can you go back? Like
there was.
It's just. I think it's a 3. Maybe you can go back. Like but there was one where I don't know whether that was shown on the TV screens. It was like Garcés and the two officials went and had a look at a little TV screen that was set up on the pitch. And Sexton followed them all the way up to the halfway line just to say, can you go and check that?
Yeah, that was it.
And then he had half of the Saracens team getting in his face and pushing Sexton away and telling him to F off. And but yeah, that's as you said, like sometimes Sexton is given a bit of abuse for getting onto the ref too much, but he had held his tongue for a lot of the game, like until that moment, and it still didn't get him anything much.
We put out a hashtag AskHOR for Champions Cup special. So we have a few questions here, and that we might as well get to now. Very rugby related, Trimble. You'll love these. David Jackson asks, were Saracens habitually offside, or was it just brilliant rush defence? We kind of covered that already. A lot of the talk in the post-match stuff on TV was about this. Matt Williams was saying that, I don't know if he was taking the piss here or just trying to not annoy people, but trying to make a point that the referees are missing the offside at rucks. But he was saying that they need to have a second referee on the pitch because the touch judges aren't doing the job of telling the referees when a team is offside, because the ref has got to look at the ruck, he's got to look at so many other things, and he can't see behind him if someone's offside. Now, I think that's a pretty ridiculous thing. Shane Jennings was laughing at it, but
at the
The
time,
touch judges could. Oh, sorry, go on.
So Shane Jennings and him were on the panel
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
So
Jennings is just laughing. I mean, you can't put two refs on the pitch. Like, can you?
yeah. What
I
if they
think Jennings was like, one is enough. Like they're already pretty. He said they're already pretty incompetent or something like that.
Well, what if they disagree? Do they need to introduce a third referee?
Yeah, I think the touch judges just need to say, like, if someone's offside, some of them just absolutely pussy out.
Yeah.
But I think, in fairness, Saracens, I haven't watched it back, they weren't offside. I think Leinster's ball was just a little bit slower. The only thing is they were potentially just lying at the ruck a little bit too long. Like Vunipola would get up. He wasn't in front of the ball, but he was in front of Luke McGrath's pass slightly, slowing down McGrath's pass. So McGrath has to really pick it. So by the time he's picked and stepped back half a yard, Vunipola and or whoever, it's OJ and the rest of the line were just flying up. So, but I don't think they were offside.
Yeah, I didn't think at the time they were offside. I knew kind of what to expect from Saracens' line speed. A couple of weeks ago, the Ulster Connacht game, I remember thinking Connacht were offside the whole game. It felt like they were just offside all the time. That was whenever Carty picked up a couple of intercepts.
Yeah,
that game. So, I mean, I wouldn't be inclined to agree with Matt Williams.
No.
More often than not.
Yeah, I think I remember Joey Neville was touch judge up in Ulster for the game before Connacht, was it?
It might have been the Connacht game, would it?
No, it was the week before, I think.
Oh, really?
And she was calling everything.
Yeah.
Just like, because it's and you'll stop. His team will stop doing it if you penalise them, like if they're offside.
Yeah.
And she's watching it. She was just calling it. And
very good. She doesn't miss much.
No.
She's spot on.
How can you miss it though? I mean, it's they're offside or not. Everyone else in the stadium can see it. Like, so.
I wonder though, as you say, I was wondering as the ref going, I've got so much to worry about here because a similar illustration for me. Whenever I watch games and listen to commentators and co-coms, I'm watching games going, how have you missed that? But whenever you're in it, and like whenever I've been co-com, I watch a game back that I've co-commed for, and I've gone, oh my goodness, what game was I watching? I've missed so much stuff. So, if there's distractions going on, especially if you're in the middle of what's, you're looking left, right.
It must be so hard.
I actually think it'd be even hard as a referee to stay out of the way.
Yeah. That was my biggest concern.
Never mind making decisions.
You just don't make it hard for me. Like, I'm just going to stay out of the way.
Yeah.
Also, Jack O'Lantern, probably not his real name, but I like it, asked, third game in about 3 months against Saracens. This is Irish teams, obviously, and their contingent in the English squad, all fairly similar. Why are Irish teams so poor at chasing games? I was watching this with the idea that this is a good example. This is pretty much Ireland versus England in a sense, and similar game plans and tactics. And although they probably won't come up against each other in the World Cup, will they? Maybe, but
final maybe.
You are kind of going that makes it a little bit less of a neutral game when you're not a Leinster fan, because you're like, okay, we want them to win because it's a good chunk of the Irish team. But it was quite similar to the Ireland-England match in a sense, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just it was just the combination of not quite outsmarting, but just making a lot of smart decisions and backing them up with a lot of physicality. And that combination was even more so at the Aviva. The first game of the Six Nations was massive, and it was the same sort of stuff again. It's just it's so impressive from Saracens and England, to be fair.
Yeah. Don't really have an answer for that, man.
I remember
agreeing with you.
We played Saracens with Ulster, but maybe 3 or 4 times within a few years, like maybe in the group, obviously home and away in the group, and then maybe quarterfinal one year, or anyway, quite a lot within a short period of seasons, and we tried 3 or 4 different ways of playing. It just totally changed our mindset. Whenever they box kick to you, if you play off it, you just get hammered with their defence.
Yeah.
They wait for you to catch it, they smash you, and then they smash you with the next phase. So we thought, right, let's receive that, slow it down, and then just put it back on them and just say, right, okay, onus is on you again to play from deep. So we tried that. Didn't work. Didn't work. They just took it and then they did play from deep.
Okay.
And then next time we took it and we were like, right, let's try and like concede a few yards, get our shape really good, and then beat them on the edge. Didn't work. They just smashed us behind the gain line in the middle of the pitch, like the likes of Lizotsky, like just coming up in the middle of and just making good decisions. We tried something else one year, and I was going, we can't beat Saracens. Like, we just can't beat them. They're too good.
Yeah.
It actually gets to that point.
Yeah, it is that ability to just to change your game plan or to have it all covered, and that's I think that's why they're so good. They've got so much variety to their play.
Exeter maybe are a good example of a team who can not that most recent performance, but
and it's like what impressed me the most, like it's kind of common sense when you think of it. You know, they do the smart things, like those position they had on the left hand side of in the second half after they'd weathered that storm of Leinster and Williams had made that turnover. Leinster they won a scrum on the left hand side just inside their own half, and it was a good opportunity to have an attacking, you know, backline move, and they just got the ball to Good's hand. He brought it right to the line and popped a long kick
on the
into
run,
the corner, and Larmer got tackled, and Leinster eventually scrambled it into touch. But it was just being able to make that decision right there and then. Now we just apply pressure. We've soaked up theirs, and rather than most teams, I think in this day and age, will have a certain style of play, whereas now we keep the ball for the next 10 phases, and hopefully they'll break them down. Whereas they can have, I think that's why they're the champions, just that they have that ability to do all of the above.
But they're smart. So if you're a tennis player and you're smart, that's fine, because you just, like, you maybe speak to your coach before, you know what cues to pick up on, and you just make kind of percentage plays. But in a rugby team, it's like, it's so impressive to have everybody on the same page. Everybody knows why someone did something, because we talked about this during the week, and complete clarity. I think it's so impressive. Again, a reflection of how well they're coached, I think.
Yeah.
Just, they must be so well organised. They're just a machine.
Yeah.
Do you like the tennis player? Do you like that?
I did, yeah. I love tennis. Terrible at it, but...
Yeah, we're going to get to Wimbledon one of these days.
That's true. That's our next outside broadcast. They were actually on TV talking about Mark McCaw. Why wasn't he offered the Ireland job? Or at least talked about. Yeah. Maybe he was, but do you need to look any further than him for what he's achieved? And
his family are, I don't know, I never keep in touch with him, but I would imagine his family are pretty settled. He's onto a good thing. He's probably just going to continue to win premierships and European Cups. Yeah. What's not to like about that lifestyle?
Did he leave on bad terms at Ulster? Slightly?
I think, well, yeah.
Or the RFU?
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to leave. I don't know. Who knows? I just remember the CEO came into the office, or into the meeting, and just said, Mark's handed in his resignation effective immediately. Wow. And Mike Reid, it was at the time, said, in my opinion, we've lost a good man, and never a truer word spoken. Yeah. He was so good for us for a long period, and then there was just, I don't know, not even a full season, like half a season of kind of disappointing results, and things didn't go our way, and then I think there's a few guys turned on him. Not players, one or two players maybe, but definitely a few supporters kind of turned on him. But I always think very, very fondly of Mark, because he gave me an opportunity whenever I didn't really deserve it. He gave me a development contract with Ulster whenever I was kind of, wasn't really playing well enough. It was the year whenever you guys, did you play in that 21s team that got to the final of the World Cup?
No, it was the year after me.
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't in that. I wasn't on that World Cup squad. I wasn't really playing that well my first year out of school, but he kind of saw a bit of potential in me and kind of backed me, and he knew that I needed to come out of my shell a wee bit more. He knew that I needed to be in that environment, so I always really appreciate he gave me an opportunity. Yeah. And I'll always kind of remember and be very thankful.
Yeah, he comes across great. He spoke after the game and just thanked all the fans and the backroom staff and everyone, as did Leo Cullen. I think Leo Cullen spoke unbelievably well. What a top fella! Like, one of the best parts of Leinster rugby at the moment is, I think, Leo Cullen. He's a great fella, and he sounded so still so humble, and so, you know, didn't come across pissed off or anything like that. I just thought he was brilliantly. He spoke brilliantly. But anyway, we'll move on. There's loads of rugby. We'll be back with some of the Guinness Pro 14 chat ahead of the 2 semi-finals next week. We have Jack Carty on the phone as our Game of Thrones correspondent. Next, though, I had a chat in Limerick last week with Munster forwards coach Jerry Flannery. The interview was actually carried out the day before it was confirmed Fla and Felix would both be leaving the province. But it's worth a listen, and you'll get an insight into what Fla or how he's enjoyed the coaching role, and also the upcoming semi-final against Leinster.
I think your skill set is, as a rugby player, that is like, to be a skillful rugby player is that's the best thing you can bring onto the field.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of the physicality of the game, you have to be strong enough, fit enough, fast enough to play. I think in the past in Ireland we've gone down the line of just chasing the, getting strong in the gym, getting as fast as you can, getting as fit as you can, and not focusing enough on skills. I think the two are important. If I had to lean one way, I'd lean towards the skill set now. Mm-hmm. I've seen with a lot of the players who come in here from abroad, particularly the Kiwi players and players I think the reality is a lot of the players who play abroad, they don't specialise in one position when they're young. So you'd have someone like Rhys Marshall, our hooker from New Zealand. Rhys would play multiple positions, and then when he's 17, 18, when you specialise in a position, when you physically start to mature, that's when you start to specialise. But Rhys might have played 10 for a couple of years. He might have played in the centre, he might have played wing. Hence, he has a good skill set, he's comfortable on the ball, he has good game appreciation in general. And then it just happens that when he matures at around 17, 18, he ends up going, well, I'm not tall enough to be a lock, I'm not quick enough to be in the backs. I'm probably best suited to play at hooker, and I think that's something. I think a lot of the times on the teams that I played, and now I'm old now, so I'm 40, so it's probably changed. But a lot of when I played with the same out half from when I was 13 until I was under 20s. He was always the out half, whereas I think you don't just want to chop and change, but I think that players get a better grasp of the fundamentals when they play more positions and then specialise when they're older. I think that's something that will benefit us in Irish rugby, because I think the more skillful you are, the more you can adapt to any game plan. The more you can get guys, you can train guys to get them strong in a gym, to get them fit and fast. But it's actually developing their skill set will make them a better rugby player, make it easier for them to go and exploit gaps and to see things and to see where the space is.
Very good. When you talk about the teams you were involved with back in the day, that 2006, 2008 teams, obviously being for Munster, being the most successful the club have ever had. The obsession back then with training and I suppose the mentality that we would have had as a group back then was something very special, with the likes of Paulie, yourself, Strings, Dowling, Dunners, I think, leading the charge back then. Do you see comparisons with that now? Was that as special as we think it is, like that environment, or?
Yeah, I think it was a special environment. I think I understand a lot of Munster supporters get frustrated now when they look back, and they look back on the previous teams and they're wondering why Munster aren't winning now, and that's a bridge that we've got to cross. When I look back on that group of players, you have to think of it like 1 to 10 were pretty much starters for Ireland. The loose head, the hooker, the tight head, both the locks, all the back rows, 9 and 10 all started for Ireland. And then if you look in the centres, then you probably had Laifemi Maffey and Ruat Topoki. You might have Doug Howlett in one wing, Sean Payne. None of them are actually eligible for Ireland. And then Dowling or something like that. No. But it was, that was the standard of, like, they were all starters for Ireland, and a lot of them played for the British and Irish Lions and stuff like that. So there was real quality there, but that was underpinned by a real strong culture. And I think at the time, you tell me if you disagree, but I think that I look back on it now and I go, like, we probably didn't appreciate how good our coaches were in creating an environment where we were able to really drive things on. And I think at times when this is just me personally now, I used to look at the coaches and go like, oh, they're not developing me. I felt it had to be technical. I wanted to be technically, coached every week. But when you get to those levels, when you get to the level when you're playing at international rugby and senior rugby, you're not going to take players generally aren't rubbish and you improve them 25%. It's incremental little improvements, and I was probably looking for the big, improve my pass off my left side. I want to be able to rip that pass all the time, and I probably didn't give the coaches enough credit for what they were doing, was creating an environment where we felt that the harder we worked, the more that we would get further to achieving our goals, which is not an easy thing. And they made us feel like we were the ones who were in charge of our destinies. So I think that the work ethic was there, the quality of player was there, and the landscape probably is a lot different to what it is now. Was a lot different back then to what it is now in terms of the budgets that some of the English teams and the French teams have and how they can recruit, and also the fact that with the changes in the tax relief now for Irish players, there's a lot more of a likelihood of Irish players leaving when they get to 30 years of age and trying to cash in France, as opposed to when I played, it was more a case of you had to retire tax resident in Ireland to get your tax back. And there was always the window that you could go away and possibly come back and try and claim it, but no one wanted to risk it so much because that was kind of, they were your savings that was going to start you off into retirement. So I think
we had a
it's probably
squad there that was together for 10 plus years, like the bones of a
and no one wanted to leave.
Squad,
No one wanted to leave, and it also meant from a budget point of view that Munster were able to compete with the top teams because they didn't have to pay you market value in the last couple of years of your career, because they knew that with the tax back thing that you had to stay there. So if Toulouse or Clermont came in and offered you, a more attractive package, Munster still had the Munster and the IFU. It happened for all teams. It's common sense from the club's point of view. They would say, well, you've got this pot, this pot of, not a pot of gold, but you've got like your tax relief money is there. We'll probably pay you under market value, but you'll get your tax relief there. And the Irish system is so good for players as well in terms of prolonging your career and the player welfare and how they manage you, that and at the time as well, why would you want to leave Munster? Because Munster were winning all the time. You're playing with the best team in Europe. Now it's different now because the other teams have, a lot of the teams in France and England they've got very big budgets. Irish players know they can go abroad, come back and still get their tax. And the reality is, if you're not playing in Leinster at the moment, then you're not playing in Leinster are the best team in Europe at the moment. Mm-hmm. So if you're a Munster, previously when we were there, you said, well, why would I ever leave? Because we're better than all these other teams. Now we're still a top 4 team in Europe at the moment, but that's where I think it's changed.
It was a brilliant environment to be around, a very enjoyable, fun place to be as well. I think that's that plays a huge part in it as well. And
absolutely.
That some of the best moments when I think back, obviously we were very successful on the pitch, but the things that you think back on when you retire are the funny things that we used to get up to, and the crack we used to have. And like even we Andrew and I spoke about the Hardy Bucks a few weeks ago, and we had the Hardy Bucks down here to Munster Rugby, and they're the things you remember. Like, do you remember that day?
That wasn't really great for me, really, but.
Yeah, did you got in a bit of trouble for that? Were you fined for that?
I'm not sure if I was fined, but I was definitely taken to task and told, "What are you doing?" Which is fair. Yeah, it was pretty stupid from me.
It was funny though.
It was funny. I think when you look back on it, I think most teams that have a good culture really enjoy each other's company, and they enjoy. It's a great job. It's a pressured job being a rugby player. It's a really, really high pressure job. I really respect all the players who come in here every day, because for me, coming in as a coach, they're really motivated. They all have, they've really good work ethic. And they get on, you know what I mean? They all get on and they have real good fun. The fact that you actually win means that you can look back at it and go, it gives you like that rose-tinted view in it. Like if we'd lost all the time, we'd wonder. It makes you question then, maybe we went on the piss a little bit too much. But because we ended up winning, we kind of went, we got the balance just right. So it's a fine line, you know. It's but it's I think the players still, I would like to imagine they still really enjoy coming in here as I did when I played. That was it. Winning was fantastic, and that's what it's about. But like when you think back on it, it was all the crack that we actually had as a group. And still, when I was just there, I went out to Alan Quinlan's dad's funeral. It was a sad occasion, real sad. But like when I saw some of the lads, I saw Donica, I saw Miko, I saw Strings, Frankie Sheehan, you start getting a little bit giddy because you're so keen to meet up with them again, because it sounds cheesy and cliche, but there is a bond there. Like when you meet them, it's kind of like a giddiness, and you shouldn't be giddy at a funeral, but like you know, they're just great guys, and very lucky to have worked with them.
Yeah, I agree. So looking ahead to the weekend, obviously very disappointing result against Saracens a few weeks ago, but the opportunity now to put that right with a big performance against Leinster in the RDS.
Yeah. Saracens was a real gut punch, because I think if I look back on it, in the 3 semi-finals that we've played since I've been here, Saracens, the first year under Rassi, you know, we probably, you know, they were definitely a better team than us, but we gave as good as we could, which is all you can ever ask. You know, we coached as well as we could, and the players 100% played as well as they could on the day. We just got beaten by a better side. But we were in the mix for a while there. Racing last year was disappointing, because I felt we never really fired a shot, or they fired 3 shots straight away, and then we were scrambling with scoreboard pressure because we were behind, and we froze a little bit on the day. That was really disappointing, and it was hard to get up after that. This year, I think the gap was, and I think anyone who watched the game would say that the gap was the biggest it's been between us and losing. You know what I mean? Between Saracens just seemed that much better than us on the day. So that was really, really tough. The reality is now that Saracens are not in the Pro 14. It's going to be Leinster, and then hopefully we get to a final. But we've just got to pick ourselves up now and give as good an account of ourselves as we can, and try and get our season back on track. Because if someone said to you at the start of the season, you know, you're going to be in a Pro 14 semi-final against Leinster, you know, you'd have played them twice that year, beaten them once, you know, lost to them once. You know, we can be in the mix. We just need to get everyone healthy, get on the field, and just even our Treviso performance was terrible. It was a really, really poor performance. Even the Connacht game, our first game after Sarries, there's probably a little bit of a hangover there. We've just got to be from all of the coaching staff through all the players. We've got to park that now and just look at this game and say, there's 2 games between us now and a Pro 14. Like it sounds close. You could be a million miles away from it as well, because there's so much that has to go on for you to actually win. But if it's worthwhile, it's so worthwhile, because it changes how you look at your life. That's for me. That's the importance of it for me, because I can look back on my time as a coach and say, I've actually won something. And it's not about me personally. It's, as a coach, I feel that you have to try and get the environment right. Munster have to be within touching distance of winning something all the time. It's nice saying that, but it hurts every time you lose in a semi-final, because you question everything that you do, and you question, you know, where are we falling down? Where are we not good enough here? Were we not addressing this enough? And so it's burning really hard for me to try and, you know, I just really want to win something for Munster and repay everything that Munster has done for me personally, but I want the players to win it as well, and because I know how hard they're working. Just because you're working hard, every other team is working hard as well, but I just feel that if we can get a bit of luck. I look at 2009 with Leinster, when Leinster beat us in the European semi-final. They just massively kicked on from there, and I feel that we need to get a break at some stage.
Yeah, when you ask you the start of the season, or say to you the start of the season, you're going to be in 2 semi-finals, you'll have beaten Leinster once. Your record in the competition, like you haven't been beaten at home, you've the best defence, not too sure about the attack, but pretty up there as well.
Yeah, we scored, I think we've third third highest amount of tries scored. And
yeah. Look, it's funny when you say that, when you put it like that, and then you take from the outside looking in. Is it a lack of confidence, maybe, even though they're in that situation? Is it like when you're too involved in the whole thing, you can't see the perspective as to, wow, hang on a second, we have achieved an unbelievable amount this season. We have unbelievable players. We've got two of the best players in the country to come back into our side. And not only should we not be beating ourselves up over a couple of performances in the last few weeks, even though we've won, but we should be going into this with pressure off and confidence into a game like this.
I think you're dead right. That's what I was. You just put it across a lot more concisely than I did. I think standing back and being objective about it, you say, listen, what have you guys got to lose? When people look at how you played against Treviso, they're just going to think you've even got a chance against Leinster. So we have beaten Leinster in the past. Granted, they went down to 14 players, and and they've consistently been the dominant team in Europe over the last few years. But I think that we just need to get our mindset right. That's the big thing, is get our mindset right, get the lads healthy and get on the field. And like you're saying, just not be afraid to really go out and try and win it. You won't contain Leinster, so that's where we are.
Okay, well, best of luck. We can't wait for it. I think we've taken up enough of the gym's time today. Look, Fla, best of luck the weekend, and we look forward to hearing some more of your feedback on Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, because you were like our quality control officer for the first few weeks, and Trimby is craving some more feedback.
Needy.
Yeah.
Needy. Yeah, I'm always very impressed. It's very good.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
All right, that interview was done on the same day as we spoke to Munster hooker Rhys Marshall. Great interview. He's a great fella, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, just hilarious and good story about his journey from New Zealand, working on a farm, killing animals and so on, to Munster rugby. It's great. So we'll have that.
Like Game of Thrones?
Does he? I didn't ask him, did I? Did we talk about Game of Thrones?
No, I don't think we did talk
think
about
we
it,
did.
actually, but geez, I'd say he could handle himself in Westeros.
Yeah, he could.
You just talk about rugby.
We didn't really. It was mostly horse riding and
See that coming.
drinking whiskey. And Keith Earls was in the background doing his gym session.
Doing weird stuff. He does weird stuff in the gym. Girls, he doesn't he?
He was just doing some shoulder rehab and stuff like that, just pottering around. But Rhys Marshall was talking about horse riding and riding like for hours one day to come back from. He got called into a 21 squad, and he got found out and he had to ride for ages back on this horse. And I was really interested in
I'm
it.
thinking Gladiator.
It was definitely there was some tune playing in it.
And his wife and son had died when we got home.
Earlsy just piped up in the corner of the gym. He was like, I'm just embarrassed for him because he puts his saddle on his horse. Earlsy obviously didn't put a saddle on his horse when he was down flaking around Limerick on his piebald pony. So you'll hear that next week. That and Pat was talking to Adam Byrne and John Fogarty of Leinster. So that will all feature in a House of Rugby Guinness Pro 14 semi-finals bonus episode during the week. So keep an eye out for that. And subscribe to the show so it just drops like out of thin air into your phone. It's the noise it should make. But anyway, Fla and Felix.
Two good lads.
Two unbelievably good lads. Tough week for Munster, yeah. Completely out of the blue. Wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I suppose the fact that it's May and they hadn't made decisions on the contracts, you'd think that would be done January, February.
Had that been talked about in the press? Had people been like kind of speculating?
A little bit. Like, yeah, there was like, why haven't they signed? But they've been offered a 1 year, and there was talks about Munster getting another coach on board, and it was, I think everyone felt that they were just waiting to firm up the three of them before they made the announcement. So this was a massive surprise, and looking at it, you're only speculating as to what happened because no one knows other than Fla and Felix. They're an incredibly tight unit, the two of them. So I'm not sure if they made the decision together or what. And
Are they as tight as you and me?
they would be, yeah. they could go.
Is there going to be a rival?
A rival.
Felix and Fla's House of Rugby.
You'll just be here next week. You guys won't be.
Yeah. I definitely tune into that as well. They're Felix is like mad.
Yeah.
I've had some of my funniest times at Munster Rugby were Felix Jones, just
Yeah, his pranks.
his pranks. I'm not sure many people are aware of that. How that was all he used to do. Like was find certain ways to. I remember himself in Barryoman. He broke into one of the lads' house and stole all their stuff. And then when the lads came home from a night out, they got someone to ring them pretending to be a guard, saying, "We've found," before the lads could even ring the guards, to say that we've found all your stuff. And they did like a big sting operation where I think David Kilcoyne and Ronan O'Mahony and Paddy Butler were brought to a warehouse that we had for the band where we used to practice in. And they came out there and they were just sitting there, and this story's gone nowhere actually. It was just very funny.
Didn't he put a load of chickens in Donegal Ryan's house as well?
He did, and set up a GoPro.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
At about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got them in. Can you remember how he got them in?
I just remember Skin Ryan going. I remember him like turning around and going, I mean, why put the chicken there? Because that's not really the point. Chicken's in the house.
Ah, there's chickens in the house. And he's given out to, I think it was Billy Holland and Donica's house.
Yeah.
And he was giving out to Billy because like that's not how you catch a chicken, basically. Like, and Felix put in this music like and the two of them are just running around the kitchen trying to catch these chickens. We also dressed him up as some sort of a religious hybrid. It wasn't a priest. It wasn't. I don't know what he was. He had like a little Jewish cap, but it wasn't. It was just his hair that Flash shaved into the top of his head, and he left his sideburns, so he looked like an Orthodox Jew, but he was more of a. He had a Bible with him as well. So I don't think he had decided what religion he was. But this was like the first week or two that he came to Munster Rugby. And
way to make an impression.
Yeah, he went door to door and started, I think he called it Jean de Villiers' wife's house, and or his house, but he wasn't home, and just tried to talk to his wife about religion, and totally freaked her out. Brought him into my brother's pub and tried to talk to my brother, and like weirdoing everyone out on like a quiet Monday night, and he would just commit to these hilarious little pranks that he would do. So, but anyway, we digress. Terrible to see the two of them leave. They'll obviously go on to something else. I think they have a huge future in the game. Fla, you'd obviously a lot of time with Fla over the years.
Yeah.
We don't feel like we're talking about him like he's in the past now. But,
yeah, I know. He had a good innings.
He did.
Rest in peace. I remember Fla at Killiney Castle. It was he had this theory about Killiney makes you fat because over like there's a spotlight comes right down in front of the mirror, and because it's like coming down from the ceiling, it makes you look more ripped. So every time he would come back from training, he'd be like, "Whoa, decent shave," and he'd go down and like stuff his face. I can afford
eating ice cream.
I can afford to eat what I want, and he's like, "Killiney makes you fat because of the spotlights."
He'd hate that. Look, it's a bit of a disaster for Munster, being honest with you. Like when you talk, let's get serious here. When you think about Saracens, when we talk about them for so long there about what Mark McCall has achieved and all that, I mean, Fla alluded to there what the resources they have, the money they have, and I think Murray Kinston interviewed performance director of performance Phil Morrow last week, and he talked about having 4 or 5 physios, 5 coaches, loads of backroom staff, fitness, like just massive amount of staff around the players, taking on the workload, and no one's overworked. Then they go off to fucking Barcelona or go skiing in the Alps, and they just have all these incredible facilities and resources available to them. And when you look at Munster, not only do they not have that, but they're incredibly under resource. The two boys were doing, the three of them, between the two of them and Van Graan, were doing the job of probably 4 or 5 people at least. And, you know, so not only have they lost 2 of like the most hard-working players that I ever worked with, but like 2 of the hardest working coaches, I'd say, in the game, Felix and Fla.
Yeah.
You know, because when they were players, they'd work their bollocks off. But
Yeah.
there's only so many training sessions you can do, and so much lifting weights you can do, or so much work you can do on the pitch. But as 2 of their 2 close friends of mine, I know you'd never see them because they're just working day and night for Munster Rugby. And the fact that they've lost that now is a huge void in the team. And I hope, for Munster's sake, that they can get something, or Van Graan has some sort of a plan, that this wasn't just.
Yeah. You know, you'll do well to get 2 fellas who care as much,
Exactly.
or who are as committed as those 2.
Yeah.
I would have thought.
Yeah. And they just, you know, for me, they just needed another coach to come in.
Do you remember the time Flannery volleyed Saracens?
I think it was Zarzeski. It was
Was it not the hooker? No, was it?
It was, what's the winger's name? Toulouse winger, fullback. The chaps, Lam chaps.
Podron or Medard?
Medard, yeah.
Was it him?
It was, yeah. He volleyed him. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was so weird. I think I was on the bench that day, and I was going, "There's no explanation for that."
No.
I've never seen anybody he came running at him and just volleyed him.
Drew back fully, like, as well. Oh, it was so good. He tried to maintain that it was a mistake or whatever, but he knew exactly what he was doing.
Reached the phone up Jack Carty. I'm sorry I missed you. If you could leave a brief message, I will get back to you.
Hello, Jack. This is Baz and Andrew from Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby. You were supposed to be joining us as our Game of Thrones correspondent for the show today, but you have left this go to your voicemail. So,
Jack, I hear you're an absolute disgrace at Cooney's house party.
was he?
Yeah.
What did he do?
His missus wanted to go home, and he was like, "Yeah, go home by yourself. I'm staying with the boys." And then got into a fight with McCluskey.
Did he?
Apparently.
Over what? Like over the game?
I don't know.
or-
I don't know. No, I don't
Right.
think.
Is this rumor? Is this our rumor section?
No, I think it was Cooney said that the 2 of them had like kind of. I don't think they got into a row or nothing, but they kind of.
They got a big spiky.
Yeah, a wee bit spiky. Apparently, so I hear. Anyway,
Cool. Will we just
anyway,
carry on?
call us back. Yeah.
Will we just carry on with our Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah. Are we just gonna
I think we were.
do this whole 10-minute segment
Yeah.
on his voicemail?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Will we? Okay, cool.
Okay.
The last episode was quite like the first 20 minutes of it anyway was quite like the end of season piss up at Cooney's house, I'm sure, where they're all just kind of wandering around pissed and
It
talking.
sounds a bit like Carty was the big ginger wildling.
Just mounting off. Yeah. He came out with a few classics. What did he say? We faced those icy fucks or something like that. On the Whitelings or the White Walkers oily fucks, and he was like, "Which one of you bastards shat in my pants?" Was that you, Carty? He was also burning the ear off the hound at the bar.
Yeah.
And we were like, and the hound was like, "Oh Jesus,
He wasn't having it.
get away from me!"
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
There was always one of those that at an end of season session, like,
yeah,
who gets too emotional and too pissed.
yeah. Then Sansa took him on. Sansa went over to the hound and he broke him down. She broke him down.
Did, yeah. And then your man Gendry, he got too pissed, told Arya that he loved her,
Yeah.
and Arya's like, "Oh Jesus!" And you rose because it was the end. It was the end of the season.
It was the end of the universe.
It was the end of the universe. You're not supposed to fall in love with me. Your man was down on his knees. It was so embarrassing. And the drinking game they were playing was terrible.
Yeah, really bad.
It was so cringy. It was
Yeah,
like,
it was, yeah.
ooh.
You're a virgin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then the sex scene between Jamie and Treadwell.
Yeah.
That was harder to watch than the Battle of Winterfell. I was like watching that through my hand. Oh no, I can't look.
Danny wasn't feeling it at the party. Whenever the big ginger wildling was like, "Suck loving John, you legend! You've been so class this season, mate. You've been carrying us." And then Danny was just like not feeling it. She was obviously like half a dozen beers behind them all, and she's just like, oh, "I'm going home here."
Yeah. And then John came in. She's like, "Are you drunk? Are you langers, yeah? Were you doing shots, were you?" And he's like, "No, I'm grand." He's like, "We've your nephew's christening in the morning." He's like, "I'll be fine." And then she gets into a deep and meaningful one. He's clearly shit-faced.
Yeah.
And then she starts making all these demands of him, like,
Yeah.
"I have to cut the grass now in the morning." You know, like. He's like, "Oh, I can't cut the grass. I'll be wrecked." Yeah, it was a weird old segue, wasn't it? I think they needed to do it maybe a little bit lighthearted.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have battles every week.
What do you think, Jack Hardy?
Jack? You still there, Jack?
Yeah, it was. And then, like, heading into next week, it was almost like the end of the season, but you've got one game left. So, like Leinster, let's say next weekend, they've got, well, they potentially got 2 games left. But Daenerys is like, straight in Monday morning. Yeah. We're straight in training. We're going to do a 3-hour session. And they're like, no. They've just had the most physical game of all time against Saracens.
Yeah.
Give them a break. Give them a night out.
Yeah.
She's like, nah, we're off now, straight down to, where are they going again? King's Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a tiny little army.
Yeah.
And then Tyrion, what's he thinking at this stage? He's walking up trying to talk Cersei down. He must know what she's like at this stage.
Yeah.
That's
pathetic effort.
You're wasting your breath. And archers, kill Tyrion. Right now, kill him, quick.
Yeah. Not inconsistencies, but I always have this problem with these, like, the archers could have killed everyone.
Exactly. So if you can send one of those big, massive, thick arrows through a dragon's neck from about half a mile away, you can kill all the Unsullied, Dany and
There's only about 20 of them
Grey
there.
Worm.
Kill them all and it's over.
Yeah, I know.
Straight away.
No, we've got 2 episodes left.
Yeah, that was annoying me. And then when Tyrion goes up and just gave this, he just put on a sad voice. Please.
But we like Miss Andrew.
Don't kill her. You love your baby. She's just like, cut her head off. Do you know, like, it was kind of pathetic. And do you know when Bran comes in, that was so weird when he came back to Jaime and Tyrion.
Yeah.
With the crossbow, walked in and he was like, "I'm going to kill you." And he punches Tyrion in the face. And he's like, "Give me," what did he want?
He wanted 2.
Give me King's Landing, was it?
No, it was another one. It was another. Where was it?
Highgarden.
Highgarden, yeah.
Give me Highgarden or I'll kill you. And they're like, "Go on, so you give it." But like, they could just turn around the next day and be like, "Nah." And he's just happy enough to walk off like, "Oh, I hope they're going to give it to me now."
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Although that was a bit lame, but I'm still glad he's back in it.
Yeah, he is good.
I've missed him.
He is good. And then why don't they just marry Jon Snow and Daenerys? Like, that's pretty straight up. Like,
Dany, honestly, she's no good. She's up to no good.
She's no good.
She's no good. She's up to no good.
Good enough for our John.
She's divorced and all, sure.
Damaged. I enjoyed Varys in this one.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
Everyone's like, he could be a sneak. He's going to do something sneaky.
Yeah.
I think he's the only one with a bit of brains.
Yeah, but he is being sneaky though. He still is being sneaky, but you're right. Like the rest of us are going, we're on Vary's side here.
Yeah, totally.
You're right to be sneaky.
Yeah.
But Dany, I swear, she's the new villain.
Yeah, she was furious, wasn't
Yeah.
she? Jesus, what is she going to do? Because the poor old dragon got a baiting. So he's...
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. That was emotional.
Boom. 1 minute, they are flying high. 2 dragons, everybody intact. Next minute, dragon, arrow through its neck, and you've just got, like, cut to the next scene, and Miss Andry's just...
And come here, what's the story with Jaime? Is he going back to be Cersei's brother, or is he going back to kill her?
I think we're all hoping that he's going back to, like, suck up to her and then kill her. Isn't that what we're all hoping?
I don't know, I was confused when
Yeah.
Treadwell was like, "Don't leave, don't go back to her." You know, that was very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just had a real change of heart, or I don't know. Again, if Carty had answered the phone, he could have told us.
Ah, well, Carty, Jesus, we've talked about you so much on this show. Who was he again? Was he Jon Snow or was he?
No,
He was Sansa.
He's Sansa. Gets better and better.
Yeah, letting us down here though.
Yeah.
I like the Starks giving John shit as well for standing up to her. Like that was such a family thing as well. Like it would happen
In the garden? Was this chap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The three of them, like.
Yeah. And I love, like, it's they've only got a couple of episodes left, so they're smashing through the narrative. That would have took a full season in the past, but now they want, oh geez, we're tight for time here.
Yeah.
And they've gone, they didn't even have time for John to tell the two sisters, and then they didn't have time for Sansa to tell Tyrion. They're just like, he tells them, and then they tell them, and then everybody knows. That's it, all sorted.
Such East Enders writing, like expect to just finish with the doom 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 do 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 do. Someone needs to edit that in. That's the end of season.
Gary.
Yeah. It does. Yeah, it leads into an interesting episode. Any predictions for next week?
I've heard. There's like one of those YouTube videos that I don't know where they hear this from, but Cersei dies. Who else? Sorry, Cersei and Jaime both die.
Oh God.
And Daenerys, no. I can't remember. This is quite a big thing. Actually, I'm totally cocking this up. Sorry.
Wow.
I think Cersei, Jaime, and Daenerys all die.
Wow.
I think.
Jesus.
That's a hot take. Pat's choking on his pen. You killed Pat and Pat. Pat dies as well.
You'd be gutted if you died at the same time as Jaime, Cersei, and Daenerys.
Nobody would give a shit.
Thanks everybody for your comments, questions, for listening on all your favorite apps, and for watching us on YouTube. A big thank you to everyone that was involved in making the show this week. Paul, Fiona, Anthony and Pat. This has been Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Thanks for keeping us company. Party on.
Party on.